So last week we discussed based on the Brahmaji's prayers, 3rd canto, 9th chapter, 2nd verse to 5th verse. Based on those prayers, we discussed how the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is spiritual. So today we are going to, in this 52nd Anuccheda, Jiva Goswami will take a verse from the 5th canto in relation to Rishabhadev. So, evam cha आवेश अवतारतया प्रतीतस्य श्री ऋषभदेवस्यापि विग्रह एवं योज्यते. So Rishabhadev is considered to be the Avesha avatar. We'll also discuss what is technically an Avesha avatar. Evam cha, in the same way, the body of Rishabhadev, who appeared as an Avesha avatar, his body is also to be considered as transcendental. And then Jiva Goswami quotes here verse 5.5.19. This verse is spoken by Rishabhadev to his sons. Idam shariram mama durvibhavyam sattvam hi me hrudayam yatra dharmaha prushte kruto me yadadharma aradito kimam rishabam prahuraryaha. Idam shariram mama durvibhavyam sattvam hi me hridayam yatra dharmaha prushte kruto me yad adharma aradito imam rishabam prahuraryaha. Idam shariram. Rishabhadev says that idam shariram, this body of mine is a durvibhavyam, inconceivable. And sattvam hi me hridayam yatra dharma. Dharma is situated in my hridaya, in my heart, mama hridayam. And prushte krito me yad adharma. Adharma is situated in the back side of me. Prushte means back side, behind my back. Aradito hi mam rishabam prahurarya. Arya means cultured people or wise people, highly there. Therefore, those who are highly cultured in wisdom, they call me as Rishabha. Rishabha means what? The most exalted. When you want to describe the best in a particular category, you use the word Rishabha. Bharata Rishabha, who best among the descendants of Bharata. Bharata Rishabha, like that word is coming. Namo namaste Rishabhaya Satvatam Vidura Kashtaya Muhukkuyoginam Nirasta Samya Tishayena Radasa Swadamani Brahmani Ramsyate Nama. This is a verse spoken by Shukdev Goswami's prayer. Namo namaste Rishabhaya Satvatam. I offer my obeisances to that personality who is best among the Yadus. Satvata refers to Yadu dynasty. The best among the Yadus, that is Krishna. Therefore, the highly cultured people, they call me Rishabha, the most exalted. So, idam manushya akara shariram hi nishchitam durvibhavyam. Durvibhavyam means durvitarkyam. Yat tattvam tadeva. So, Rishabhadev is saying that this manushya akara shariram, this human-like body of mine, is certainly that reality is that very reality which is inconceivable. That means that it is beyond logic. It is beyond the conventional reasoning faculty. Durvitarkyam. Yatraiva dharmo Bhagavata lakshanas tatraiva me hridayam manaha. Here the word dharma means what? Yatra eva dharmo. Bhagavata lakshana. So here the word dharma refers to devotional service, the Bhagavata dharma. Wherever there is dharma, which is characterized by Bhagavata lakshana, which is characterized by devotion to Bhagavan, in that place my heart resides. Me hridayam manaha. My heart dwells in that place, or my mind resides in that place. Sadavo hridayam mayyam sadhunam hridayam manaha. Yad yasmat tad viparitadi lakshano adharmo maya prishte krita. That which is opposite to Bhagavata dharma, viparitadi lakshano, that is adharma, irreligion, is behind my back, maya prishte krita. Tatah parang muko aham ityartah. In other words, parang muko aham ityartah. In other words, I am actually ill disposed towards irreligion. It means I am ill disposed towards the adharma, irreligion. That is why adharma is there in the back of the universal description of the universal form also. Dharma resides in the sthana, or the chest of the Lord. Adharma resides in the back portion of the Lord. Just now I was discussing the second canto, first chapter. There also is described. Ata eva vakturasya rishabhadevasya cha sarvantama leela api vyajena antardanameva prakrita loka pratityanusarena eva tu tata varnitam. So here he says that therefore atayeva vakturasya rishabhadevasya cha sarva antima leela api. Sarva antima leela api. In the concluding pastime of Rishabhadeva, who is the speaker of this particular shloka, idam sharira mama durvibhavya. In the concluding pastime of Rishabhadeva, which is actually his disappearance. Vyajena antardanameva. The concluding pastime of Rishabhadeva is actually his disappearance. But although the concluding pastime is described in a way that accords with the experience of the ordinary living beings. Prakrita loka pratitya anusarena eva tata varnita. The concluding pastime of Rishabhadev, the disappearance of Rishabhadev, is described like the disappearance of any ordinary living entity. That means the ordinary living entities, how ordinary living entities' body gets destroyed by getting burnt in the fire. It is described like that, but actually what is Rishabhadev's concluding pastime is his disappearance. But it is described like the death of an ordinary living being. Why it is described like that? Atma Ramata Riti Darshanartham. Atma Ramata Riti Darshanartham. Because Rishabhadev, through his disappearance pastime, he is teaching. He is teaching to the Atma Ramas, the yogis, how they should behave. It is the Rishabhadev's disappearance. The story of Rishabhadev's disappearance is depicted in that way to illustrate the behavior of the Atmaram. How the Atmarama should behave. Taduktam yoginam samparaya vidim anushikshayan. This is a verse from 5.6.6. Yoginam samparaya vidim anushikshayan. Samparaya vidim means how the yogi should conduct himself at the time of leaving the body. In order to teach the yogis how they should conduct themselves at the time of leaving their body, Rishabhadev also demonstrated his disappearance pastimes in that manner. He adopted that behavior just to teach the yogis how to give up the body. So Rishabhadev, beautiful verse there in Bhagavatam, Rishabhadev not only taught how to live in this world by being a responsible king, Rishabhadev also taught the Atma Ramas how to leave this world. Atah Swakalevaram Jihasuhu. There is a verse, Swakalevaram Jihasuhu word comes in the Bhagavatam verse. Swakalevaram Jihasu means with a desire to give up his body. So normally we want to give up our body because our body is material. But in the case of Rishabhadev, his body is transcendental. So therefore, in the shloka, Swa Kalevaram Jihasuhu, the word Kalevara should be taken as this world, not instead of the body. Swa Kalevaram Jihasu ityatra Kalevara Shabdasya Prapancha Eva Arthaha. Take the meaning of the word Kalevara as Prapancha. Desiring to give up this world, take that meaning. Upasana Shastre Tasya Tata Prasiddhe. So this meaning of the word Kalevara as Prapancha is also given in the Upasana Shastra. Kalevara is widely recognized as a material world in texts related to worship in Upasana Shastras. Tata, and then Jiva Goswami quotes another shloka from 5th canto, 5.6.8. Ata Samira Vega Viduta Venu Vikarshana Jatogra Davanalastad Vanamale Lihanaha Saha Tena Dadaha Ityasya Vastavarte tu Tena Saha iti Kartru Sahaye Tritiya. So the subsequent verse, that is 5.6.8. So there is a sequentially 5.19 is quoted, that is the main verse of this anuccheda. And then 5.6.6 is quoted. Where it is mentioned that in order to teach the Atma Ramas how to conduct themselves at the time of death, Rishabhadev adopted that behavior. And then the subsequent verse, 5.6.8, from that this passage is quoted. What is the meaning here? The blazing forest fire generated by the rubbing of the bamboos against each other amidst the strong winds. That blazing forest fire engulfed and burned the entire forest along with Rishabhadeva. So, Tena Saha iti Saha Tena Dadaha. the forest fire which was generated by the friction between the bamboos caused by the wind, that forest fire engulfed and burnt the entire forest along with Rishabhadev. This is the literal meaning of the shloka. So if we take this literal meaning, that means the forest fire burnt the body of Rishabhadev. It would mean like that. Then that would mean the body of Rishabhadev is material. Because the material body only can be burned. So then we have to, this is literal meaning. But the body of Rishabhadev is spiritual. Idam shariram durvibhavyam. Durvitarkyam. So therefore, in this shloka, sahatena dadaha, how we should take this meaning? Jiva Goswami says that ityasya vasthavarte tu tena saha iti kartru sahaye tritiya. So here, according Jiva Goswami is quoting the grammatical rule, and then he says that the real meaning of this description can be understood by taking the instrumental case in the phrase tena saha as having the sense of assisting the agent. What is the agent here? Karta. The karta is the fire, the forest fire. Forest fire burnt the forest. Forest fire burnt the entire forest. The agent karta is the forest fire. So the literal meaning appears to be that forest fire burnt the forest along with Rishabhadev. But then Rishabhadev's body is spiritual. Idam shariram durvibhavya. Therefore, we have to take the sense that Rishabhadev was a gauna karta. There is a mukhya karta and there is a gauna karta. Primary agent and the secondary agent. A secondary agent assists the primary agent. So here Rishabhadev was assisting the forest fire in the burning of the forest. It is not that Rishabhadev was getting burnt by the forest fire. Rather, Rishabhadev assisted the forest fire in the burning of the forest. How he did that? So, Gauna Mukhya Nyayena Kartari Eva Pratamika Pravrittehe. So, Kartari Eva Pratamika Pravrittehe Tatascha Davanalas Tat Vanavartita Vanavartitarvadi Jivanam Stulam Deham Dadaha Rishabhadevastu Sukshmam Deham iti Tasya Sarva Moksha Dattvam Anusandeyam. Very beautiful point. So the forest fire burnt the grass bodies of those living entities present in the forest. And Rishabhadev burnt the subtle bodies of those living entities present in the forest. So when the subtle body is destroyed, at that time a person attains moksha, mukti. He gets liberated from the material world. That means the forest fire burnt the grass bodies of the living entities present in the forest, but Rishabhadev assisted the forest fire by also burning the subtle bodies of the living entities. That means he awarded liberation to all the living entities present in that forest. The trees, creepers, all the lions, tigers, birds, all the animals which were present there, all the living entities, their subtle bodies were destroyed by Rishabhadev. That means he awarded liberation to them. Therefore, Jiva Goswami is the shloka Sahatena Dadaha. Sahatena Dadaha, it would mean, instead of taking the meaning as that the forest fire burnt the forest along with Rishabhadev, rather we should take the meaning as the fire along with Rishabhadev burnt the forest. That means the object of the action is only the forest and the living entity is present in the forest. The karta of the action is, there is a mukhya karta and gauna karta. Mukhya karta is the forest fire and gauna karta is the Rishabhadev. The mukhya karta destroyed the gross body and the gauna karta Rishabhadev destroyed the subtle body and gave them liberation. So there is a gauna mukhya nyaya which is quoted here. The primary agent takes precedence over the secondary agent. The primary agent in this case is the fire, that is to be considered first. So as such, the meaning is that the forest fire burnt the grass bodies of the trees and the other living beings existing in the forest. But Rishabhadev burnt the subtle bodies. So in this way, one should note the ability of Rishabhadev to award liberation to all the living entities. Then how can Rishabhadev's body be material? His body is spiritual. And then Jiva Goswami says that he's quoting another verse from the 9th canto. This event is similar to Lord Ram's disappearance. He's quoting a shloka from 9th canto, 9.11.22. Sayais prushto vidrushto va samvishto nugatopi va kosalaste yayusthanam yatra gachanti yoginah. Kosala, the residents of Kosala. Sayais prushto abhidrushtova, who saw Lord Ram, who sat with Lord Ram. Anugato, who followed or touched Lord Ram. Yayuhu sthanam, they went to that abode. Yatra yoginaha gachanti, attained by the yogis. Yatra yoginaha gachanti. And then the last, this one. Tato anala sadharmyam varnayitva tadvad antardanameva tasya iti cha ganjitam. So therefore, we have to understand Rishabhadev's simply disappeared from this world. We have to understand in this way. Not that Rishabhadev's body was burnt. Rather, Rishabhadev simply disappeared from this world. So by describing Rishabhadev as having qualities in common with the fire, what is the common quality? The common quality of the Karta. Fire was the primary agent, Rishabhadev was also sharing the quality Kartatva with the fire. So by that we have to understand that Rishabhadev disappeared from this world. Atayeva Rishabhadeva Avirbhava Tritiyodhyayaha. Therefore, the 3rd chapter of the 5th canto is titled as Rishabhadeva's Avirbhava, the appearance of Rishabhadev. The 3rd chapter of 5th canto is not described as the birth of Rishabhadev. Ityeva uktam natu ta janma iti. It is not described as the janma of Rishabhadev, rather Rishabhadev's appearance. Sri Rishabhadevaha Swaputran. The birth of Sri Rishabhadev, the appearance of So I'll go through the purport. So after explaining Krishna's transcendental body is non-different from him, Jiva Goswami explains that the body of Rishabhadev, who is an Avesha avatar, his body is also transcendental. Avesha avatar, although he is not a full avatar, what is Avesha avatar? We'll discuss that. So what is the definition of an Avesha avatar? It is described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. What is the shloka? Jnana Shaktyadi Kalaya Yatravisto Janardanaha Ta Avesho Nigadyante Jiva Eva Mahattamaha. What is the meaning? When Sri Krishna pervades the Jivatma with a portion of his opulence, such as Jnana, Shakti, such as the energy or knowledge, such a great soul is called as Avesha. So Avesha Avatara is that when a living entity is endowed with a particular Shakti, then he is called as an Avesha Avatar. So Avesha Avatara is basically a living entity. So Rishabhadev comes under the category of the Jiva Tattva, but he is a Avesha Avatar of the Lord. He is endowed with a specific power. And there are two categories of Avesha Avataras. Bhagavat Avesha Avatara, Parveshan as the Lord directly, and Bhagavat Shakti Avesha Avatara, the Parveshan as an upholder of one of the Lord's potencies. The first type of Parveshan, Bhagavat Avesha Avatara, induces the living being to identify himself directly as the Lord. The second type of perversion induces the living being to identify himself as a devotee and an upholder of the Lord's potency. So Rishabhadev is an example of the first category of Avesh Avatar. Bhagavat Avesh Avatar. That is why Rishabhadev, when the perversion as the Lord directly, the living entity identifies himself directly as the Lord. It's not a Mayavada theory, but identifies himself directly as the Lord. That is why Rishabhadev says in 5.5.6, unless one has love for me, Sri Vasudeva, he is certainly not delivered from the bondage of his material body. He is identifying himself as Vasudeva. So examples of Bhagavat Shakti Avesh avatars are Narada Muni, 4 Kumaras. So Avesh avatars are living beings, but they are invested with the special power of the Lord. So Rishabhadev appeared as the son of King Navi and Meru Devi. And Bharat Maharaj was the eldest. and India is also named after Bharat Maharaj. So you know that Bharat Maharaj became the eldest son who became the king. 9 sons of Rishabhadev became the Nava Yogendras. 81 sons, um, 9 of, I think 81 plus 9, yeah. 81 sons became Brahmanas, and 9 other sons became the Kshatriyas. So after ruling the kingdom for many years, Rishabhadev decided to renounce. And then before renouncing, he actually called all his sons and then he instructed them. So there's a famous section, 5th canto, 5th chapter, Rishabhadev's teachings. So the verse which is quoted is from the Rishabhadev's teaching, 5.5.19. So in the preceding shloka, Rishabhadev emphasized about the importance of self-realization, and that importance of self-realization is rooted in service to Bhagavan and service to the devotees of Bhagavan. And in this particular shloka, Rishabhadev says that idam shariram mama durvibhavyam sattvam hi me hridayam yatra dharma. He's saying that you don't have to search out the Lord because your father itself is the Bhagavan. And later on, he also instructs his sons to cooperate and serve Bharat Maharaj, who is a devotee, Mahabhagavata. So in this way, Rishabhadev demonstrated that service to devotees is service to him. And Rishabhadev explains that his body is non-different from the absolute truth. Idam shariram durvibhavyam, mama durvibhavyam. And therefore it is inconceivable to mundane logic, durvibhavya. So normally we can conceive of a body which is made of the earth, water, fire, air, ether. But it is difficult to conceive of any form other than earth, water, and fire. The subtle elements also have a form, but with our gross eyes, we cannot perceive the form made of the subtle elements. But certain yogis, they can perceive even the subtle material elements like Paraman, atoms. For example, the Vishwanatha Panchanana states that a yogi who has attained the goal of yoga is able to see everything such as the atoms present in the ether through the power of yoga. So here, idam shariram mama durvibhavyam, the inconceivable nature of the Lord's form indicates that it is not a product of karma. Can the voice be muted actually? I'm not able to mute. So the inconceivable nature of the Bhagavan form indicates that it is not a product of karma. So his form results from his own free will, which is not the case with the ordinary living beings. And so when he is saying that, when Rishabhadev is calling himself as Vasudeva, one may think that, oh, is it a Mayavad or is he proud of himself? No, he is not saying out of pride. His purpose is to instruct his sons, and through them, he wants to instruct the humankind in general. It is out of compassion that he reveals these secrets to the conditioned living beings. And it's also explained that the religion resides in his heart, dharma resides in his heart, and adharma resides in the back portion of the sound. So, that means basically he can be understood only through dharma. That only here dharma refers to the Bhagavata dharma, devotional service. That means he can be understood only through bhakti. So other processes are jnana, yoga. They are either partial processes or material processes. So jnana marga is partial in the sense that it is directed towards the impersonal Brahman, which is not the all-inclusive aspect of the absolute truth. And the process of yoga, the process of Ashtanga yoga, which make use of the grass form, that process of yoga is an attempt to extricate themselves from the grass form. Although the process of yoga is a material process, although it may be directed towards the Paramatma, which is a more inclusive aspect of the absolute truth, but the purpose of Ashtanga yoga is to simply get out of the grass form. But only bhakti is purely transcendental because it is directed towards the complete aspect of the absolute truth. So, for the irreligious people, the Lord is very far away and cannot be approached even by the mind. Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyu vayu ratapi manasu munipungam. So, in this verse, the word Rishabhadev, highly cultured people call me as Rishabhadev. Rishabha means best. Vyagra, Shardula, Simha, Pungava. When these words are affixed to another word, they give the superlative sense. Tyago hi Purusha Vyagra. Purusha Vyagra means the best among the human beings, best among the man. Purusha Rishabha, the best among the Purushas. Bharata Rishabha, Purusha Shardula, the best among the human beings. Purusha Simha, the best among the men, or the lion among the men. So, this is the opinion of the Aryas, that means highly cultured people. They call me as the best Rishabha. Or the word Aryas, it can also refer to his father, Nabi Maharaj. Out of respect for Nabi Maharaj, the plural is used. So, because when the child, Maharaj Nabi, saw the baby's body decorated with qualities that are praised by the poets, such as vitality, strength, beauty, glory, courage, and valor, he gave him the name Rishabha. So, Arya can refer to his father or it can refer to the highly cultured people. So, now an objection can be raised. In the shloka, idam shariram mama durvibhavyam. Rishabhadev is saying that my body is inconceivable. It cannot be understood through logic. But then, so this, it is beyond, it's not material. It cannot be perceived through our senses or through our logic. But this verse, one can raise an objection based on another verse from the 5th canto, 6th chapter, from the Rishabhadev's disappearance pastime. Then Rishabhadev, after instructing his sons, he took the renounced order. He installed Bharat Maharaj in the throne. And then abandoning all the codes of social conduct, he followed the path of an Avadut, not even wearing the clothes or making any effort to even maintain himself. That means he practiced Ajagra Vritti. So, in order to practice Ajagra Vritti, and in order to not even wear the clothes, it requires a complete absorption on the transcendental platform. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, according to Maha Nirvana Tantra, There are 4 types of avadutas. Among them, the best type of avaduta is called as a Hamsa. What are the 4 types of avadutas? 1 minute. Types of avadutas.
I think Kutichak, Bahudak,
No. That is 4 types of sannyasa.
Sannyas.
Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajakacharya, and Paramahamsa.
Param. Okay.
But yeah, 4 types of avaduta. I don't know, but the word avaduta has a specific meaning. Vallabhacharya defines an avaduta as a person who is completely devoid of bodily urges and who appears like inert matter. According to Siddhanta Pradipa, avaduta is one who is fully detached from the pride of identifying with his belly and the genitals. According to Shabdasara, a yogi who follows the principles of strict celibacy, who is aloof from the principles of Varna, and who is always engaged in contemplating the super soul, is called an avaduta. The syllable a means akshara, inexhaustible. The syllable va means varenya, respectable. The syllable du means free from material bondage. The syllable tha refers to the knower of the famous Vedic statement Tattvamasi. One who possesses these 4 qualities is an avaduta. There are different meanings of the word avaduta is given. But anyway, here another verse is, another quotation is quoted. There are 4 types of avadutas. Out of that, the best type of avaduta is called as a Hamsa. And the activities of Hamsa are described as Hamso na kuryat stri sangam na vidatte parigraham parabdam ashnan viharen nisheda vidivarjitaha. What is the meaning? A Hamsa should not possess anything and never associate with the women. He should wander, surviving on whatever comes his way by the will of the providence, and remain free from all the rules and regulations. The Rishabhadev called himself Hamsa and accepted such a lifestyle. So in the garb of an avaduta, Rishabhadev appeared like a blind, deaf, and dumb man, like a ghostly haunted person or like a mad person. Although people mocked him by various means, he always followed the vow of silence. And he would not say anything. And Rishabhadev, when he wandered, he arrived near the place Kutakachala in the present state of Karnataka. And he entered the jungle, and there he was naked and he was like a madman with a disheveled hair. And at that time, the forest suddenly caught fire. So there, this verse is quoted. So by quoting this shloka, one can object to the fact that Rishabhadev's body is spiritual. The main verse is that idam shariram mama durvibhavyam. My sharira is inconceivable. It is inconceivable means it is transcendental. Because that which is transcendental cannot be conceived. That is the main verse. But then one can object to the shloka by quoting this 5.6.8, which says that the forest fire burnt the forest along with Rishabhadev. So Gita says that Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dahati pavaka. Nachainam tledayantyapo, nashoshayati marutaka. Soul cannot be burnt. So if atom cannot be burnt, how can Rishabhadev's transcendental body be burnt? So therefore, Jiva Goswami says that when we carefully read the shloka 5.6.8, the text reveals that Rishabhadev's body was not burnt in the forest fire. Rather, he assisted the forest fire in the act of burning. How he assisted? The forest fire burnt the gross bodies of the living entities. Rishabhadev burnt the subtle bodies of the living entities. So the phrase Sahatena Dadaha does not mean that the fire burnt the trees along with Rishabhadev, but rather it means that Rishabhadev accompanied the fire in the burning of the trees. So then he is also quoting a pramana from the Paniniya Sutra 2.3.9, Sakayukte Pradane. Sakayukte Apradane. That means the pronoun Tena in the instrumental case, along with the indeclinable Saha, in the sense of the accompaniment. That means, so therefore, according to the Sutra, the accompanying party is considered to be secondary. So Rishabhadev is playing the role of a Gaunakarta. Example is Putrena Saha Agataha Pita. Father came along with the son. So here there are two kartas, father and the son. They were the kartas of the act of coming. The father is the main karta and the son is the secondary karta. So in the similar way, in the example of the Bhagavatam, the fire was the main karta. Rishabhadev was also engaged in the same activity of burning, but assisting the primary agent, that is the fire. Or it can mean that he was, or it could also mean that not that he was assisting the fire, but accompanying the fire. Instead of saying that he was assisting the fire, he was accompanying the fire by burning the subtle bodies, while the fire burnt the gross bodies. So in this sentence, Saha does not mean that he was burnt, but rather he accompanied the fire in the act of burning the forest. So essentially, this shows that Rishabhadev awarded liberation to all the living entities. In this way, Jiva Goswami is giving a befitting reply to the first objection. Now, second objection is raised based on 5.6.6. 5.6.6, there is a verse which comes that Swa Kalevaram Jigasuhu, desiring to give up the body. So one may quote again, by quoting the shloka, one may say that Rishabhadev's body is material. But since the context is that Rishabhadev desired to give up his body, it seems appropriate to say that he was burnt in the forest fire. But Jiva Goswami states that here the word Kalevara means the material world. It means the material world. And even if the word Kalevara, so therefore Kalevara also has the meaning of the word material world, and he is also quoting how such meaning is found in other Upasana Shastras. In this way, he is giving the answer to the second objection. But even if suppose a person takes the word Kalevara as the body, still it does not mean that Rishabhadev gave up the body. Rather, in the case of Rishabhadev giving up the body, it simply means leaving the world. And what is the pramana for this? There is a verse from the Kurma Purana, which is cited by Madhvacharya in his Bhagavata Tatparya Nirnaya. I will read that shloka. Vishnu Kalevara Tyago Bhutyago anyonya vidyate kalevara tyagon yesham panchatvam samudiritam. What is the meaning? This verse from Kurma Puran states that when the phrase giving up the body is applied to Sri Vishnu, it simply means that he disappears from the earth and nothing more. But in the case of the others, it means dying or giving up the body made of the 5 elements. Therefore, Swakalevaram Jihasuhu, it is proper to say that Rishabhadev disappeared from the material world. Just as fire burnt the trees and then the fire disappeared, similarly, Rishabhadev burnt the subtle bodies of the inhabitants of the forest and he also disappeared. Fire exists in the wood everywhere, but the fire appears by friction. So similarly, Bhagavan is present everywhere, but he appears by devotion. So you see, there is 3 points of comparison. Fire exists everywhere, but the fire appears by friction. So Bhagavan also is present everywhere as a Paramatma, but he appears by devotion. And the second point of comparison is that fire burnt the forest and then the fire disappears. Similarly, Rishabhadev burnt the subtle bodies of the living entities in the forest and then he disappeared. And the third point is that, these are 2 points of comparison. So this explanation is also in agreement with the earlier statement by Shukadeva Goswami. Because in the earlier statement about describing about the Rishabhadev's appearance in this world, 5.3.20, it is described that Shuklaya Tanu Avatatara, the Lord appeared in the womb of the unalloyed being. So Shukadeva Goswami does not say that Rishabhadev took birth. Rather, he appeared and therefore he also disappeared in the same way. So the word Antardade means he disappeared. It was also used in this way when Rishabhadev's father Nabi performed a sacrifice to attain a son. The Rishabhadev's Nabi performed a sacrifice. At that time the Lord appeared. So the word used is that Avish Chakara. He appeared. And then Antardade Bhagavan. And then he disappeared after blessing Nabi. So in this way, that in this particular anuccheda, it is described that how even Rishabhadev, who is an Avesha avatar of the Lord, his form is also spiritual. That is described here. So that is this anuccheda. Next anuccheda is a very short anuccheda. I will just go through that. 53. Tadevam Rishabhadevasyapi vigrahe tadrishata chet kimuta swayam bhagavata itya. If Rishabhadeva, who is the Avesha avatar of Bhagavan, if his body is spiritual, then what to speak of the Swayam Bhagavan? His body definitely has to be spiritual. In this case, Jiva Goswami is quoting a shloka from the Bhishma Dev's prayer, first canto, 1.9.41. Munigana Nripavarya Sankule Antas Sadasi Yudhishtira Rajasuya Yesham Arhanam Upapeda Ikshaniyo Mama Drishi Gochara Yesha Aviratma. As Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajasuya sacrifice, at Maharaj Yudhishthir's Rajasuya sacrifice, there was a great assembly of eminent sages, Munigana, and mighty kings who honored him. The cynosure of all the eyes, by offering him the Agra Puja, the first worship. Now the same self has again appeared before my eyes. Bhishma Dev is recollecting this incident. Bhishma Dev was present at the Rajasuya sacrifice. In fact, when Shishupal started criticizing Krishna, Bhishma Dev was the one who glorified the position of Krishna very elaborately. In the Mahabharata Sabha Parva, there is a very long chapter in which Bhishma Dev speaks about all the avatars of Krishna and the pastimes of all the avatars, and establishes how Krishna is the worthy person for the Agra Puja. So Bhishma Dev is recollecting that. Tika cha yesha jagatam atma mama drishi gocharo drishipatah san navihi prakato vartate aho me bhagyamiti bhavaha ityesha. So this person who is the Jagatam Atma, who is the super soul of the cosmos, has appeared before my eyes. What fortune I have got. He has manifested before me and become visible. How fortunate I am. Very short anuccheda. We'll go through the purport. So in this section, Jiva Goswami now establishes that Krishna's body is transcendental by using the Kaimuttika Nyaya, a fortiori argument. Kaimuttika Nyaya means what? Basically, it's like, I think we have discussed it several times, that suppose if a person has, after eating completely, he says that now I can take only 2 Son Papadis because my stomach is completely full. Then you can imagine how much he will eat if suppose if the stomach was empty. That is like the Kaimuttika Nyaya. So Krishna is the original and complete reality, and he has 3 types of expansions described by Rupa Goswami. One is the Swayam Rupa, another is the Tad Ekatma Rupa, and another is the Avesha. So in the spiritual world, beyond the material nature, Krishna exists in these 3 forms: Swayam Rupa, Tad Ekatma Rupa, and Avesha Rupa. So Krishna's Prakasha manifestations in Vrindavan and Dwaraka, they are in the category of Swayam Rupa. And Tadekatma Rupa expansions include his Vilasa forms such as Sri Narayana, and the Swamsha forms such as Sri Matsya. So there is no difference between Krishna and his Prakasha manifestations, because they are all in the category of Swayam Rupa. But his Vilasa manifestations like Narayana are almost equal to him in opulence. Almost equal means slightly less. But his Swamsha expansions like Matsya, they have less manifest power than his Vilasa forms. So the Swayam Rupa forms are in the same category, but Prakasha, Vilasa manifestations are almost equal to the Swayam Rupa, but little less. Swamsha have much less manifest power than his Vilasa forms. But Swayam Rupa, this Tadekatma Rupa, both Vilasa and Swamsha, they are all in the category of Vishnu Tattva. But the Avesha Rupa, it is not in the category of Vishnu Tattva. Avesha Rupa forms are the empowered living entities. They are not in the same category as Swayam Rupa or Tadekatma Rupa. So in the previous Anucheda, the Avesha avatar, the Rishabhadev's body was established as transcendental. So if a Jivatma like Rishabhadev, or a Jivatma like Narada Muni, who is a Shaktiavesh avatar, if they have a transcendental body, then it goes without saying that the body of the Swayam Rupa, Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna should also be transcendental. So Narada Muni describes about his own spiritual body to Vyasadev in the first canto. Narada Muni says that Prayujyamane Mayitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabda Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika. He says that as I was about to inhabit the pure body befitting an associate of the Lord, my body made of the Panchamahabhuta dropped away, as all the accumulated results of my karma had been extinguished. So to corroborate his conclusion about Krishna's body, Jiva Goswami is quoting a verse spoken by Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma is reflecting the Rajasuya sacrifice in that best of the sages also attended and great kings also attended. So there was an Agra Puja ceremony was there. In that this was a great distinction to bestow on someone, and care had to be exercised to make sure that it was offered to the most qualified person. Otherwise, if it is not offered to the most qualified person, if it is offered to the less qualified person, then it will be an insult to the more deserving people. So the qualifications of a candidate had to be considered based on different factors like the kula, birth, strength, knowledge, and so on. So there are many personalities present in that assembly, but everybody except Shishupal unanimously chose Krishna. Only Shishupal objected. So the word Muni Gana and Nripavarya, they are two important words. Mighty kings and eminent sages. That means the men of wisdom were there, and the men of power, both were there. So Krishna surpassed both the Munigana and the Nripavarya. That means he surpassed the Muniganas in their knowledge, and he surpassed the kings in their power. And moreover, everybody present there marveled at his beauty. That is why the word used is Ikshaniya. Ikshaniya is used. That means Krishna became the cynosure or the most pleasing object for the eyes. Taddharma sunor bataraja suye nirikshano. Sorry, yaddharma sunor bataraja suye. This verse spoken by Uddhava in the third canto says that all the most beautiful people, the most powerful people, influential people from all over the universe had come there, and they declared that Krishna is the most beautiful in the entire universe. So Ikshaniya is used. And only Shishupal protested. So this verse specifically refers to Krishna's body, because Bhishma Dev said that the same form was present before him now in the Kurukshetra. He's saying that the same form has again appeared in front of my eyes. Now when he's in the deathbed, in the deathbed of arrows. So in the Krama Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says that Bhishma described the Lord's body as most attractive, the most worshipable, and a most rare sight. His beauty was not material. For otherwise, if the Lord's beauty was material, then the sages would not have agreed to offer the Agra Puja to Krishna. Because the Munis, they are completely realized that how the material body is not attractive. If the if the Munis who realize that the material body is attractive, if they have agreed to worship Krishna as the deserving candidate for Agra Puja, then Krishna's body cannot be material. So great sages, well versed in the Vedas, would not have respected and worshipped him just because he was a king. So his body is definitely spiritual. Another important point in the shloka is that the Lord had become manifest. The word avihi is used. You see that Yesha aviratma. Ayesha aviratma is that. Avihi means appeared, manifest. That means Bhagavan exists everywhere at all times, but he had appeared or manifested in order to give pleasure to his devotee Bhishma. It is a characteristic of Krishna's transcendental body that he can manifest it to someone at his will while simultaneously keeping it concealed from others. The same place, he can manifest to one person, at the same time he can conceal himself from others. Pratap Rudra Maharaj could see Mahaprabhu dancing in all the Kirtan parties, but others could not see. So Mahaprabhu could reveal to one person and he could not reveal to the other people present in the same place. So that's why the word Aviratma, that means he becomes manifest. The learned and experienced Bhishma would not have exulted at his fortune if it were not so. He's saying that I am so fortunate that Krishna, out of his mercy, has appeared in front of me. So this shloka is quoted. The previous anuccheda, the main shloka quoted is from Rishabhadev's teachings, where it is mentioned that the Avesha Avatara, Rishabhadev's body is transcendental. The Avesha Avatara body is transcendental. What to speak of the Swayam Rupa form? So for that, Bhishma Dev's prayer is quoted how Krishna's body is also transcendental. In this way, we have seen 52nd and 53rd Anucheda today. Anybody has any questions? So you see such a beautiful shloka. Jiva Goswami is giving such a minute understanding. Krishna. Okay, stop here. Thank you very much for your patient attention. So, we discuss.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
This soft rug is wonderful for